$1 billion. 0 Super Bowl rings. And the clock is ticking louder than ever. In any other business, a $1 billion investment with no return would spark panic, lawsuits, maybe even collapse. But in the National Football League, it's being treated as the cost of doing business. And that might be the most dangerous gamble of all. Right now, more than $1 billion has been committed to 4 quarterbacks: Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Jordan Love. Each of them signed a market-setting deal. Each of them was declared the future. Each of them was paid like a champion before actually becoming one. And here's the part that should make every fan uneasy. Not one of them has a Super Bowl ring. Let that sink in. These contracts weren't just about numbers on a stat sheet. They were about belief. Belief that Prescott could finally push the Dallas Cowboys past January heartbreak. Belief that Burrow would turn the Cincinnati Bengals into a dynasty after one magical run. Belief that Allen's raw power would break through the AFC wall. Belief that Love was the seamless successor in Green Bay. Instead, this past season delivered something almost unthinkable. Only one of those 4 quarterbacks even made the playoffs. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills were the lone representatives. And even they couldn't reach the AFC Championship game. The billion-dollar quartet didn't just fall short of a ring. They barely touched contention. So the real question isn't whether these players are talented. They are. The question is whether the NFL's current quarterback economy is fundamentally broken. Because when you scroll down the salary rankings, something strange happens. You have to go all the way to the 7th and 8th highest paid quarterbacks to find players who have actually appeared in a Super Bowl. Jared Goff and Brock Purdy. And if you want to find someone who has actually won one, you need to look outside the top 10 entirely. The Philadelphia Eagles' Jalen Hurts, sitting at 11th in annual salary, is the first name that pops up with a championship. For spots below him, Patrick Mahomes, the most decorated quarterback of this era. And just behind him is Matthew Stafford, a proven Super Bowl winner. Mahomes and Hurts are the only quarterbacks carrying contracts north of $250 million who have managed to win a championship. Think about that imbalance. The NFL has created a system where teams feel forced to pay quarterbacks like guaranteed champions long before they've proven they can deliver one. And once they do, the financial consequences ripple across the entire roster. This is not a criticism of Prescott, Burrow, Allen, or Love as players. It's a structural problem. The quarterback position is the most important in football. A bad one can sink you before halftime. A great one can mask flaws everywhere else. And because elite talent at that position is so rare, the demand will always outweigh the supply. That's how you get billion-dollar commitments without rings. Take Dak Prescott. Every regular season, he produces numbers that light up scoreboards. He throws for thousands of yards. He stacks touchdowns. He keeps Dallas in the spotlight. But January tells a different story. Playoff exits have become routine, and each one magnifies the weight of his contract. Joe Burrow once looked like the exception. Cool under pressure. A Super Bowl appearance early in his career. The Bengals paid him believing they were securing the face of the AFC for the next decade. But injuries and roster limitations have complicated that narrative. When your quarterback takes up a massive chunk of the cap, depth starts to erode. Josh Allen might be the most physically gifted of the group. He can bulldoze defenders, launch 70-yard lasers, and will his team through chaos. Yet year after year, the AFC gauntlet stands in the way. When the margins are razor thin, the difference often comes down to roster balance. And that's where financial strain shows up. Jordan Love represents a different gamble. Green Bay believed so strongly in his upside that they handed him a benchmark deal based largely on projection. It's a bet on trajectory rather than resume. And in today's quarterback market, projection gets paid just as quickly as production. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Paying a quarterback elite money doesn't guarantee elite results. In fact, it may limit them. Because every dollar spent on a quarterback is a dollar not spent on pass rushers, offensive linemen, lockdown corners, or depth at receiver. Football isn't basketball. One superstar can't carry you alone through 4 playoff rounds against complete teams. And this is where the contrast becomes fascinating. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Matthew Stafford all won championships while their teams maintained enough flexibility to build around them. Timing mattered. Contract structure mattered. Cap management mattered. Mahomes, widely considered the best quarterback in the league, has restructured deals to give Kansas City breathing room. Hurts won before his cap number ballooned to its peak impact. Stafford's championship came after a trade scenario that aligned roster strength perfectly, that it's not just about talent. It's about timing. Now look back at the billion-dollar quartet. Their contracts reflect the market's upward spiral. Every new deal resets expectations. Every reset pushes the ceiling higher. Teams fear losing their franchise quarterback more than they fear cap constraints. And so they pay. The result? A league where financial hierarchy doesn't match postseason success. The Seattle Seahawks may have stumbled upon a different philosophy. Instead of diving into the top-of-market arms race, they offered mid-tier money to Sam Darnold, a journeyman with something to prove. The idea is simple. Pay less at quarterback, invest more everywhere else, surround the position with weapons. Fortify the defense. Build depth. Is it risky? Absolutely. But so is dedicating over $50 million per year to one player and hoping everything else holds together. There's a psychological layer here too. When a quarterback signs a record deal, expectations don't just rise. They explode. Every incompletion becomes magnified. Every playoff mistake becomes ammunition. The contract becomes part of the narrative. Prescott isn't just judged as a quarterback anymore. He's judged as a $60 million quarterback. Allen isn't just evaluated on performance. He's measured against the cost of his deal. Burrow's health isn't just a medical concern. It's a financial risk calculation, and that pressure can reshape franchises. Coaches adjust schemes to justify contracts. Front offices hesitate to move on from struggling veterans because they can't afford dead cap hits. Draft strategies shift to compensate for cap shortages. The ripple effect is enormous. Meanwhile, teams that win often appear to strike a different balance. They either capitalize on rookie contracts or manage veteran deals with precision. They build trenches. They invest in defense. They don't rely solely on quarterback heroics. This doesn't mean elite quarterbacks aren't worth paying. They are. But the timing of the payment might matter more than the size. Imagine if Prescott had won a ring before his mega extension. The narrative shifts entirely. Imagine if Allen had broken through to a Super Bowl before his cap hit surged. The contract would feel justified. Instead, franchises are paying for potential and hoping it matures under financial strain. The irony? The very scarcity that drives quarterback salaries upward also makes it nearly impossible to replace them. So teams double down. They extend. They restructure. They push money into future years. They chase windows that narrow faster than they expect. And fans feel the tension. Because deep down, everyone knows football is a team sport. Championships are won by complete rosters. By defensive stands. By offensive lines that protect in January weather. By depth players who step up in December. $1 billion tied up in 4 players creates an unavoidable question. Is the modern NFL overcorrecting? When you look at the pay sheet and see Mahomes ranked outside the top 10 in annual salary, it feels almost surreal. The league's gold standard isn't the highest paid. The champions aren't always the richest, that's not coincidence. It's structure. And here's where the curiosity deepens. What happens next? Because the quarterback market isn't slowing down. The next wave of extensions will likely push annual averages even higher. Young stars will point to previous deals as benchmarks. Agents will demand resets. Owners will approve them out of fear of losing relevance. Will we look back in 5 years and see more billion-dollar groups without rings? Or will one of Prescott, Burrow, Allen, or Love finally break through and validate the gamble? The stakes couldn't be higher. For Dallas, every season without a deep playoff run tightens scrutiny around Prescott's deal. For Cincinnati, protecting Burrow becomes both a medical and financial priority. For Buffalo, the urgency grows with each AFC disappointment. For Green Bay, Love's development must accelerate to justify belief. This isn't about blaming players. It's about examining a system that may be outpacing itself. The NFL thrives on drama. On big contracts. On headline-grabbing numbers. But beneath the spectacle lies a strategic chess match. Cap space is finite. Windows are fragile. One miscalculation can set a franchise back years. And that's why this billion-dollar paradox matters. Because it challenges the assumption that paying top dollar equals top results. Maybe the true formula lies in timing extensions after championships, not before. Maybe flexibility is more valuable than headlines. Maybe the next dynasty won't be built on the most expensive quarterback, but on the smartest roster construction. History tends to reward balance. As fans, we're conditioned to celebrate massive deals as victories. Our quarterback got paid. Our future is secure. But security in the NFL is an illusion. Every season resets the equation. The question that lingers is brutally simple. Are teams paying for greatness, or are they paying to avoid uncertainty? There's a difference. And until one of those four quarterbacks lifts the Lombardi Trophy, that billion-dollar investment will remain unfinished business. So now it's your turn. If you're running an NFL franchise, do you hand your quarterback a record-setting deal before he wins it all? Or do you risk letting him walk in pursuit of roster balance? Was this the right move for Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Jordan Love? Or is the league heading toward a financial breaking point? Drop your take in the comments. Because the next billion-dollar decision is already on the horizon, and it might redefine the NFL all over again.